In this lesson, we will explore block dimensions and how they can help you to fine-tune the layout of things like images, buttons, and sections. To access block dimensions, open the list view, top left, select the relevant block, and then open the sidebar settings, top right. Go to Styles, and scroll down to Dimensions. The exact options vary depending on the block, but commonly include padding, margin, block spacing, and sometimes minimum height. Padding is the space inside a block between its content and border. Margin is the space outside the block, separating it from other sections or elements. And when we select the gallery block and open Styles, we'll see that block spacing controls the gap between nested blocks within a container block, such as columns or groups. And minimum height sets the smallest height a block or section is allowed to be. In this example, I set the minimum height of the cover block to 500 pixels. Let's start by looking at padding. Padding adds space around the content inside a block, between the content and the block's edges. For example, if content inside a colored section feels too close to the edges, you can add padding. You can either set horizontal or vertical padding using the sliders. In this example, I'll add some more space at the top and the bottom of the content in the block. To set different padding for each side, you can unlink the sides and change them individually. In the next example, I will add some vertical and horizontal padding using the sliders. And this will add more space at the top, bottom, left, and right. And did you know if you don't want to use the sliders, you can add a custom amount. In this case, I'll change it to 80 pixels for the vertical and horizontal padding. But you can even change the unit of measurement if you want to. Next, let's discuss margin. This setting controls the space outside a block. It works in a similar way to padding, but instead of adding space inside a block, it adds space around it. In this example, I feel my buttons block is too close to the paragraph. So I'll select the buttons block, open the sidebar settings, scroll down to dimensions, go to margin, unlink the sides, and add some top margin to add more space between the paragraph and the call to action. When we select the columns block, we will see that the buttons block has more breathing space. Now we move on to block spacing. Block spacing controls the space between blocks that sit inside a container block. In this example, we have a grid block with various images. And to change the spacing between the images, we can select the grid block, open Styles, scroll down to block spacing, and use the slider to increase the spacing. This will of course create more space between the images. But what if you are unhappy with your changes? Did you know if you click the 3 vertical dots next to dimensions, you can reset any of your dimensions to its default state. Finally, some blocks such as the cover block as well as the group, row, and stack blocks allow you to set a minimum height. These blocks already have a default minimum height, but the minimum height setting allows you to adjust how tall a block appears. In this example, we have a cover block and we have set the minimum height to 500 pixels. But we can, for example, enlarge this to 780 pixels. Or you can change the unit of measurement to, let's say, VH or viewport height, which means the block's height becomes responsive, meaning it adjusts based on the visitor's screen size rather than staying fixed. For instance, setting the minimum height to 25 VH will make the block always take up 25% of the visitor's screen height, regardless of the device they are using. To see this in action, we can preview it in tablet and mobile. The cover block will only take up 25% of the screen. And that's a wrap on block dimensions. The best way to get comfortable with these settings is to experiment with it.